around that one, and kind of struggling often to get slowed up for that turn two. So a lot of action expected, and we are green on cold tires. My timing tower playing a trick on me. I had a Bill Daniels in P1, but he's not here on the grid. It's Castro from Larson from Lip, and being pretty conservative here, nose to tail, going through the first section of the course into turn 4, and we may see some moves here early.
And some side-by-side racing going on involving Kettle Larson and Christoph Lip. James Berry now trying to get a move done on his teammate. And all of that, someone's gotten bumped off, heading off through the corner. Multiple cars off the circuit may have had a moment. He's dropped down a bit in the number 19 car, now locked steady in a very close battle with himself and Andreas Friedrich, as that's the moment for Gallaretta. That's the number 9 car getting a big whack heading through turn number 4.
Caused a little concertina effect. And as we take a look at Berry, looking up at Lip, Larson, and Castro ahead of him. But my goodness, Ron, look at that gap. Castro driving away already here. A full 1 second gap from him back to Kettle Larson. And when Castro shows up meaning business, you can usually tell when he puts the time in, he is a very talented driver and driving away here early. And Castro is going to want that to see that gap at 9/10 or a second so that he doesn't give a tow to the car behind.
Yeah, and the draft is oh so vital in these Radical SR10s. Once you break away from that draft, you're going to be in for a good one, as that's a moment in the mid-sector of the racetrack. That's a battle for P10 gone desperately wrong. Currently side-by-side with one of his teammates as he rejoined the race. Out, I believe, was heading through turn number 9, as side-by-side racing between James Berry and Kettle Larson down into turn 1. Berry getting the move done to jump into the podium.
Through backcountry roads, out on public roads, and those are the kind of tracks that I like. And there is a move. There is Berry sticking it past Lip, and Lip not showing a lot of defense there. Might have allowed his teammate Berry through back up into P2. So now it's Castro from Berry, from Lip, from Larson, from Braun, and those two may be on comps together. May have decided that Berry has a better crack of winding down that gap to Castro. And I can tell from Ron's reaction, I missed something. What's going on, Ron?
Larson got shown the door on the outside line, and that didn't help out his cause at all. Let's take a look at this replay. Heading out of turn number 1, Braun going for the dive down into 2. A little bit contact being made, it must be said, on entry, and then the 5 just tracking out wide, the 6 with nowhere that he could have gone as they're heading off through the mid-sector of this racetrack. You don't have as big of trains as you see at a track like Road America, for instance, where they are just absolutely insane. A fight going on involving George Gonzaga and Kettle Larson going to result in Gonzaga jumping his way up into P5. Larson's still trying to get back on his feet after that moment 1 lap ago between himself and Heinz Braun. That's the thing as well when it comes to these SR10s. You need to be in a good frame of mind to be really competitive in these races. If you're not in a good spot mentally, you're not going to be able to extract the most out of your race car. Some side-by-side battling going on for 3rd, involving Christoph Lip and Heinz Braun, the 2 Germans battling hard, as Gonzaga and Larson giving us a good battle on the bottom of your screen.
We're not done with the fighting here, and here we go. And here comes Larson, and he wants that position back from Gonzaga. And my goodness, with that slipstream run, really nothing Gonzaga could do there.
Ford up there on that list. These SR10s, they act like there's a shop vac attached to the back of these race cars. The draft is oh so strong. We got some side-by-side racing going on involving Larson, Gonzaga. A little bit of a train forming between these two. You've got Gonzaga's teammates of Dennis Giriakopoulos and Luke Crowley, an SR10 staple, running in this race as well.
Muscling his way through. Now he's got Gonzaga all over him like the plastic on Grandma's couch. And here they go down that pit straight. And Gonzaga will have this one easily. It's going to be leapfrog back and forth, and somewhere they're marking off laps on a piece of paper, trying to make sure that they are not the man in front. Here is that tough entry into turn 4, and right in front, you saw somebody looping it right there, a cloud of smoke, and that is, my goodness, that is Friedrich, or is it? Or no, Christoph Lip. Christoph Lip falls out of P3, and did he have help there, Ron?
Let's take a look at the replay here, JR, as we see Lip heading down into the corner, and oh, Heinz, oh, that was,
and I'm glad I don't have to be responsible for those kind of calls, but Braun, we said he was aggressive, and maybe not the best judgment there as he tries to shove that one down the middle. And my goodness, I doubt that Christoph Lip is having positive feelings about Hines right now. Oh my goodness, and a little bit of a traffic jam developing there, involving Gonzaga, Larson, and Kiriakopoulos, and Luke Crowley sniffing around back there. Here we are riding with Crowley, looking forward at that battle.
It's been a hectic one to be sure. Seeing some drivers go side by side yet again. This is Kettle Larson taking that run on Gonzaga around the outside, down into turn number 1. Larson, Gonzaga, 2 veterans in these SR10s, and they are battling tooth and nail at the very beginning of this lap. Let's see if it's going to be a successful move from Larson. It will be a successful move from Larson. Is slotted right in tow. Those two and their teammates maybe going to help each other out as a bit of a lockup heading down into turn number 4. I was getting some flashbacks to that, with all due respect, rather dim-witted maneuver, mind you. So it's super tough to try and go for a last late breakers maneuver, as we nearly just saw a collision from Kettle Larson and Gonzaga.
Wow, Larson and Gonzaga putting on an epic show, and there goes Crowley sticking his nose down the inside. We'll call that a minor brawn and not the major brawn that we saw earlier. Hats off to Kettle Larson. That is going to be my move of the day so far, as you saw Gonzaga cover the inside and Larson take the long way. And let's see what happens this time. Larson is going to run the normal line, let Gonzaga through. And like I said, he's probably counting laps in his head, maybe drop it into 5th and lift a little bit for that right-hand turn 1. And Larson trying the inside, and it worked out. And up top, there is that little love tap between Crowley and Kiriakopoulos, and little optimistic on Crowley's part there, I gotta say. He hang on with a few short laps left here, and he is gonna get some help. You see Kiriakopoulos there. Oh, and Crowley. Is that a replay?
Yeah, that was a replay, correct. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. George has shown that he wants to cover the inside, and we saw Larson make that incredible move around the outside, and this time Larson is going to try the inside and get that one easily. Crowley not quite close enough to follow him through, but he thought about it, as Crowley is now reeling in.
Speaking of ascend, we may end up seeing a move from Lars-Erik Friendland, who we're riding on board with right now in the number 15 car. This is heading down into the hairpin at turn number 4, looking for the move around the outside of Michael Brake, but he's going to outbrake himself there.
And Larson able to get a little gap going. Oh, George sticks it on the inside at the last minute. A little head fake. Can he hang on? Not quite, but a ballsy attempted move there by George. Really nice stuff. Yeah, absolutely. These cars require a great deal of precision in a track like this. You had to be precise on turn in. And here we go. Here's another contested entry. And Larson tries to squeeze Gonzaga out of the inside. Gonzaga says, no way, I'm going for it. Sticks it through. And is Larson going to be able to fight back into turn 2 and 3? No. And Gonzaga said, no way. There's still a sliver of light in there. I've seen what Heinz Braun goes for. I'm going to go for it too. And it's not over. A little banging side by side into turn 4. Gonzaga will have the inside line. They're still side by side up to the exit, and Gonzaga slams the door on the exit.
This track is absolutely fantastic, and with these SR10s, as much as it may not be a draft fest as some other races that we have this season, it still puts on a barn burner. We got side-by-side fight at the end of this race, heading down into turn number 1. Kettle Larson sweeping around the outside.
The white flag is out, and not a lot of opportunities left here for Gonzaga. Maybe a dive down the inside of turn 10, which is high risk maneuver, but Gonzaga running out of time, and Larson showing that he could make it happen on the outside of turn 1. More side-by-side action between Larson and Gonzaga, and here we go over the rise for the last time down into turn 10, and Larson will cover the inside. Not a lot that Gonzaga can do here, and barring catastrophe, Larson is going to secure that final step on the podium. Fantastic stuff. And here comes Andre Castro onto the timing tower, and he is going to take the win with ease. 6.5 second gap ahead of Barry. There are your final results, folks. As I said, Andre Castro completely drives away. 6.5 second gap ahead of P2 James Barry. Then Kettle Larson, after that epic battle for 10 laps at least with George Gonzaga, prevails in that one to take the final step on the podium in P3. Then it is Gonzaga, Luke Crowley, Christoph Lipp, after getting brawned off the track there early on, manages to fight his way back to P6. Then it's Kiriakopoulos in 7. Andreas Friedrich also had an incident. I think that was a self-spin, if I recall, in P8. Then Michael Brake pushes his way up the American up into the top 10, and Tremblay will round out your top 10. Then it's Friedland, Dunkovitz, Ellis, Gallarda, Kenneth Vick in 15th, followed by Rick, Molly, Bonovitz, Pico, and Goolsby will round out your top 20. And we're getting down to the end here. One more scroll, and there is Chris Vetz, a lap down. Heinz Braun, a lap down. Looked like he pitted. He must have taken repairs and come back out. And then Bill Daniels and Jason Vondra there having struggles and maybe not starting, and not really clear what happened to those two. And look at that fast lap run, 1:23.2 by Andre Castro.